Okay, so this is the 2026 early spring garden. I have some lettuce, a broccoli of some sort, and then you can see my bok choy, peas, and radishes. Here's my purple coneflower that are slowly taking over my yard. I didn't realize how prolific they were. So I'm growing two different varieties of baby bok choy, the daikon radish and the peas. There's our garden peas. Can't remember the variety, and I'm kind of moving away from varieties with that whole land race gardening. I threw some buckwheat down in the back to help with some diversity, and I had some seed and I didn't know what to do with it, so a mixture of broccoli and Brussels sprouts. You can see my Egyptian walking onions dividing and putting out more heads. Some of my potato onions, some random garlic that found its way from the compost. Some self-seeded carrots. Then look how beautiful this einkorn wheat is. It was looking pretty rough. We went a few months without any water, and the wheat was crying. But we got a good rain after this was before this was taken, and it greened right up. Here's some yellow onions that survived some pretty significant hail damage. This was recorded a little bit back, so they look way better now. Some parsley, and next to the parsley, there's also some cilantro. You can see some leftover garlic that I forgot to dig up last year. Some red cabbage. One of them looks better than the other. Some lettuces and mixed with some carrots. There's supposed to be some turnips and more radishes and maybe some rutabaga planted around, but some new spinach coming up. My year 3 collard greens. It surprises me how long they've been surviving. They're perennial in my zone. So yeah, I do know that some collard greens will survive for multiple years in zone 6. You can see some green onions that have also survived for a long time. Honeybee taking advantage of that nectar source. Here's my garlic patch I planted last October. It survived the winter and seems to be doing quite well for itself. It seems a little bit ahead of its time. There was a bok choy I planted that's barely surviving, but I also sowed some more beets late in April. I was getting desperate. A lot of my beet seedings had failed. I threw a whole bunch of zinnias and nasturtium and other flowers like poppies and black-eyed Susans, but they've been taking their time to germinate with the rain and the fluctuating temperatures. Some more Egyptian walking onions. You can see my Chinese cabbage or my Hilton cabbage. It's doing pretty good. It's the only Chinese cabbage I was able to grow this year, unfortunately. And just another honeybee. Some more carrots and other stuff I just kind of threw over there. This area doesn't do so great. It gets a lot of pest pressure for some reason, and it's the furthest away from the house. That's why I let my dandelions live their full life. They're a good nectar source for many insects. I thought this was poison hemlock, but it was actually spreading hedge or cow parsley. I'm going to get rid of it. There's some asparagus. My ever encroaching Jerusalem artichokes next to some wood sorrel, which if you didn't know, yellow wood sorrel is edible and it tastes kind of lemony. It's great in salads. Here's kind of me showing the flowers. They have heart-shaped leaves, kind of looks like a clover. My volunteer peach tree is also doing very good. It survived winter. I'm hoping it starts putting out flowers next year. It'll be year 2 or 3 for it. You can see the Jerusalem artichokes trying to take over the world. I threw a whole bunch of native flowers and seeds out here last year and threw a cover crop, but so far, I don't know if it's soil temperatures or what, but nothing's really growing. Some Egyptian walking onions and a volunteer sunflower next to some lamb's quarter, which I'm gonna have to rip out because I'm growing quinoa. in this area. And behind the garlic, I am growing fava beans. This is my first year growing fava beans. This was the fava beans from the going to seed, free seed I talked about. They had a whole bunch of different colors in there, and I have not been babying these plants. They are, I barely water them. They survived significant hail, and I just now started to see a bean pod. I have some volunteer tomatoes that have survived from April, growing in from my compost with Jerusalem artichokes. You can see my pawpaws I grew from seed. And there was some American groundnut or Apios americana that was improved, allegedly. Haven't been able to get it to come up, but my wild one I planted came up already. And I'll show you that here in a second. But look at all these Jerusalem artichokes. They're taking over this pot. I did not plant that many. At least I thought I got a lot of them, but so here's that Apios americana leaf, a perennial legume that has an edible tuber. A lot of people don't know about it. Could have been domesticated. Used to be a staple crop in some areas for some tribes. And here we have my little berry patch. Look at that. He's got some blackberries, some raspberries, some mint. My butterfly milkweed I started from seed. And look at all these strawberry flowers. These strawberries aren't the most prolific things, but I don't really have them in full sun, so I don't expect them to be. I like them as a ground cover. They hold the ground, and they still have some berries growing. Just got to beat the insects and the squirrels and the birds to them. Some celery and some parsley. Can't get enough of that. Now here is a shade garden, some hostas, I can't remember what that was. Some of these plants I did not plant. Wild blue indigo, some more hostas, and then I threw a whole bunch of native seeds over here, and some of them are coming up, some of them aren't. This is prairie coneflower or gray-headed coneflower, and behind it there was a little milkweed coming up, some spiderwort, possibly some purple poppy mallow starting to grow too, which I love. It's an wild edible. Like I said, there's spiderwort and some European yarrow. I didn't know that yarrow had a native and non-native variety, so I gotta kind of just living with that. And tons of purple coneflower. Like I said, I've only planted like 2 or 3, and then they started spreading all over. Here's some of my blueberries. They had a lot of flowers, some flowers this year. It was the first year they put out flowers, but we had 90-degree days in April. It was very uncommon and unheard of in my area, and we also had no rain, so I think the strawberry or the blueberries might have aborted their flowers. So here's some more Jerusalem artichokes, some strawberries, and you can tell these get more sun. Look how bushy they are. I planted them directly in grass. I didn't care, and that strawberry actually had already ripened by the time I recorded this overdub, and it was good. These are a June bearing variety. I think they're All-Star. Not the most sweet strawberry, but they're a good jelly or jam strawberry.